we're getting started. I'm going to put in the chat the slides for you. So if you ever want to refer back to these slides, there they are. And that's in the chat for you. And here we are. This is your team tonight. Oh, me, Ellie Sparks. I've been with CCL 14 years this week. Woo-hoo! And I was a volunteer for 2 years before that. John and Bill have also been with CCL. I think they started as volunteers the year before I started. We all started about the first time and either went to our first or second conferences together. I remember both of them back in those olden days. So I'm glad to have them here with me, helping to lead this training for you. They have led hundreds of these trainings across the country, so they are very familiar with what we're covering. We're going to jump into our core values tonight. We'll review our policy commitments, and you're going to learn how to build a lobby team, run a lobby meeting, show up in the lobby meeting as your authentic self, and motivate your member of Congress to move up the ladder of support. So we're going to jump right in with our core values, which underpin all of our actions and decisions, and we've got 7. Read those with me, friends. Focus, optimism, diversity, relationships, integrity, being nonpartisan, and personal power. These values were there at the beginning and continue to guide us as we move forward. And we've woven them throughout our strategy, and they breathe life into our mission to empower everyday people to bridge divides and build political will for effective climate solutions in Congress. So listen for the CCL values in this video, which features volunteers from across the country. After the video ends, you're going to go back to the chat and share which value resonates most with you.
I really needed an outlet where I felt like I was really making an impact and really contributing. And when I found CCL, it was exactly that.
My work is centered around going out into the highways and byways and compelling people to know that there's hope.
As an indigenous man, it helps me to be able to understand that I am from the earth. You know, whether it be the trees or the bush or the rocks, the elements in itself, you know, we're connected to these things.
Citizen Climate Lobby, it helped me to look at climate change in a different manner.
Each generation sort of gets to define what politics is. That's why it's so key for people who I think are level-headed and want to have fruitful discussions to really get involved when they can, because they bring a lot of people with them. They create a culture in which we can talk about these things in a calm way.
I really believe that talking about it and trying to educate people and help them come to their own conclusions, I think that that's very, very important.
Our voices can make a difference. You know, whether you're on the reservation or whether you're from a small town or state, you can literally write a letter or call and talk directly to the office or congressperson themselves.
Growing up wanting to be politically involved but being a little bit quiet about it, I was able to just observe the conversations both on the conservative and liberal spectrum. You're trying to understand the other person, and compassion plays a part in that desire for communication and that desire to be understood.
Politically, I've voted both ways. I know there's good people, both Democrats and Republicans. They're good people over there at our state house.
I'm actually optimistic about the future of the party just because I know so many young Republicans that care about climate change.
I'm very optimistic. I believe that somewhere, somehow, we're going to get it right.
Don't be discouraged about what the future looks like. Come to our meeting and be encouraged to make a difference and make the change happen.
If you're nervous, just jump in. Just jump in and help, because I was nervous. But sometimes you're needed.
She is right. You are needed, and we are so glad you are here. So I hope you could hear those values at play for our volunteers: focus, optimism, diversity, relationships, integrity, being nonpartisan, and personal power. So pop on over to the chat and share in the chat which value resonates most with you, or values. And if you want to describe why, go ahead and do that. And we will look at those as they come in. Which value resonates with you and why? In the meantime, let's go on. I know that you all care passionately about the world, and the care inspires us to solve climate change. Beloved American author E.B. White said it best in 1969 article from the New York Times. But I arise in the morning, torn between a desire to improve or save the world and a desire to enjoy or savor the world. And this makes it hard to plan the day. We're going to take a moment to savor the world in an exercise we like to call save versus savor. So we're going to be going into breakout rooms of 2 to 3 people. Please stick with us. I know breakout rooms can feel scary, but remember, you are building your political will building muscles in this workshop. So grab your courage and get ready for a lovely breakout session. We're going to share something that we savor in the world, something we love about life on Earth. And when you share, I want you to be descriptive. So instead of saying, oh, I love the beach, I want you to say, I love taking long walks on the beach, especially in the fall when it's quiet and empty of people and the seashells have washed ashore from the end of summer storms and the birds are running back and forth with the waves and the air feels crisp and smells salty. So there's lots of details that awaken the senses or stir your mind. Here is my savor story. That's me and my little granddaughter, 7-year-old Izzy, playing soccer this summer. And here she is visiting me on my little farm in Central Virginia. We're sitting under the trees and we're playing a little game together where we draw and have to guess what the other person has drawn. And she and I love drawing. She's a bit of an artist, as am I. And just such an intimate moment. It was a hot, sweaty day being outside under those trees with the birds. It was just lovely. So we're going to move on. We got a packed agenda. So we're going to go on to our theory of change. So over to you, John.
Thanks, Ellie. So when I first joined CCL, I heard the story about Gandhi and General Smuts, which shows us how to step outside of our comfort zone. You may know about Mahatma Gandhi's efforts to end British colonial rule in India. Before that, as a young lawyer, Gandhi fought for the rights of Indians in South Africa. Imagine Gandhi at home with his wife. Both may be writing letters home to India in the dark evenings by lantern light. That was Gandhi's comfort zone. But in order to secure more rights for Indians, Gandhi knew he'd have to come toe-to-toe with the head of Transvaal government, General John Smuts. And so he requested and secured a meeting with General Smuts. Kind of sounds like us with our lobby meetings in DC. In a biography of Gandhi, the description of that meeting goes like this. Gandhi, a short man, 5 foot tall, wearing traditional Indian garb, walks into General Smuts' office. Smuts towered above Gandhi. Smuts stood 6 feet tall and was dressed head to toe in full military regalia, with medals of honor and rank adorning his chest and shoulders. When they met for the first time, Gandhi looked up into Smuts' eyes and quietly announced, I've come to tell you that I'm going to fight against your government. Looking down and laughing, Smuts replied, Oh, really? Do you have anything else to tell me? Yes, said Gandhi, I'm going to prevail. Smuts snickered and said, How are you going to do that? Gandhi smiled and replied, With your help. Ultimately, Gandhi won the general's respect and friendship. In 1914, South Africa repealed the laws most offensive to the Indians and voted in basic civil rights. The two actually became friends into old age. Gandhi had courage and determination. He refused to take undue advantage of his adversaries. And he had an endless capacity to stick it out without yielding, without retaliation. We share those values and seek to foster the characteristics within ourselves that help us build relationships to solve problems and find common ground. The story about Gandhi and General Smuts speaks to our theory of change. Sadly, there are many people these days who appeal to the worst parts of human nature and hope to force their will on everyone else. But that generally, those changes lead to backlash. Many of us are tired of that approach. Alternatively, We can work by persistently appealing to the best parts of human nature, by building relationships, seeking common ground, and bringing forth good and creative solutions to our problems. We've come to the conclusion that in order to advance climate solutions through Congress, lawmakers must experience three conditions. We call these our theory of change. A member of Congress must sense support that is undeniable. They must feel a strong internal conviction for action, and they must experience political safety. Without these conditions, federal climate action will likely remain a struggle. But with these conditions, we believe that lawmakers of both parties will support effective bipartisan climate legislation. Let's look at these one by one. A member of Congress experiences undeniable support when the issue shows up in ways that are difficult to ignore, such as consistent media coverage or public events, when the issue comes up regularly in meetings and conversations with constituents, and people are expressing a desire for action, when the support is broad and visible across different groups, including different political groups. As a result, a member of Congress thinks, this clearly matters to my constituents, and they support action on this. Even with strong constituent support, a lawmaker may hesitate unless they personally believe in the value of the policy. They are more likely to hold that belief when the policy aligns with their values or worldview, when they see clear benefits like economic, environmental, security, or community-based, when the policy makes sense to them on a practical or moral level, when they feel confident that supporting it reflects good judgment. A member of Congress experiencing a strong conviction thinks this is a good thing to do. Lawmakers must believe that taking action won't cost them the support among key voters or stakeholders. It won't trigger backlash that outweighs benefits. It won't undermine their political identity or coalition. A member of Congress sensing political safety thinks, I can support this without political risk. These three conditions are not boxes that all have to be checked. They're more like three dials on a mixing board. Any one of them can compensate for weakness in another. For example, a lame duck congressperson on their way out of Congress may not need to worry about political safety. They won't have any more elections to worry about, so they can allow their strong conviction to inspire them to support a particular bill, even if the bill is politically risky. Who creates these conditions for members of Congress to act? And that would be our volunteers and staff. We do this by taking actions in 5 main areas that we call the 5 levers of political will. And they are lobbying Congress, media relations, grassroots outreach to the local community, grass tops engagement with local respected leaders and groups, and chapter and volunteer development. Activity in these 5 areas is how we create the conditions for members of Congress to act on climate. Our training today focuses on lobbying Congress. To learn more about the other levers, please attend our info session that Ellie hosts on Wednesdays and utilize the general trainings offered on CCL Community. We've put the link in the chat for you, and I'm going to turn it over to Bill.
Thanks, John. At CCL, we're committed to advancing bills that reduce emissions, remove climate pollution, and protect people. We want to reduce emissions. We know that climate change is caused by too much heat-trapping gas in Earth's atmosphere. With laws that make it easier to build and connect clean energy, we can dramatically reduce our emissions and stop climate change from getting worse, creating a safer, healthier world for ourselves and future generations. We also want to remove climate pollution from the atmosphere. Many of the Earth's natural systems, like our forests, oceans, and even the soil itself, can remove excess heat-trapping gas out of the air. Human technology to do the same advances every day. We can better support Earth's natural systems and harness emerging technology to draw more and more of our past pollution out of the atmosphere, helping bring our climate back in balance. We want to protect people. Climate change is here. and it's already hurting people and animals and plants with record-breaking fires, floods, hurricanes, and heat waves. We need to boost our resilience to climate impacts that we're feeling today and proactively adapt so we can be better protected into the future. At every turn, we must consider the financial burden on people across America, ensuring that every household feels the benefits of climate action and clean energy. In selecting these policy commitments, our team reviewed IPCC reports and recommendations. These reports led us to select mitigation, removal, and adaptation. In other words, reduce emissions, remove climate pollution, and protect people. If you can get behind those ideas, please give me a thumbs up or a heart reaction. All right, like to see it out there. Thanks, everybody. Okay, next we'll look at some examples of climate policies we're currently working to advance. This year in CCL, we are working in these areas: reducing emissions through carbon pricing, building and connecting more clean, affordable energy through permitting reform, reducing wildfire risk to support more natural carbon removal through the bipartisan Fix Our Forests Act, and more. Since 2020, we have lobbied for many bills, including 10 bills that have become law under both Democratic and Republican administrations.
All right. Constant training opportunities in CCL played a big role in our ability to get these bills passed. And we are excited to share that we've launched a new training program in January. You may have already tried some of the sessions. The new program is called Bridge, Building Relationships and Dialogue, Growth and Engagement. Bridge helps you become an effective climate advocate by deepening communication, relationship building, and strategic engagement skills. Bridge draws on behavioral and network science, and it provides the building blocks for our advocacy. In Bridge, we cover 3 broad categories, devoting an entire quarter of the year to each of these themes. In the first quarter, we learn about moral foundations. In the second quarter, we build audience profiles and map power and influence. And in the third quarter, we practice persuasive, values-based conversations that foster authentic connections. Now, we don't have time to fully review Bridge tonight, but we want you to dip your toes into the water and gain a few skills that you can use in your lobby meetings. So let's look at permitting reform as an example where we can apply the lessons of Bridge. I bet if I were to say, let's get behind permitting reform because it will help deploy clean energy faster and reduce pollution, you would likely respond favorably. After all, you are heading to DC to help Congress solve the climate crisis. But if I were to use that same framing with someone who did not list climate change as a top issue, my framing would fall flat. And here's why. Each of us has our own particular mix of moral leanings, and we call these our moral foundations. We want to learn how to explain our climate solutions using their moral foundations. And we need to think about the audience and what matters most to them, not what matters most to us. Most climate messaging speaks strongly to care and fairness, which are both important, but they are not the full picture. Sticking with only 2 of the main moral foundations excludes many people who see the world through different lenses. Someone with moral foundations that are weighted more heavily to one or more of the other moral foundations might not find this a compelling enough reason to join you in getting behind permitting reform. If we want to bring more people on board, then we need to expand our moral language. So let's try reframing permitting reform so that it embraces the other 4 moral foundations. For loyalty, we can talk about how permitting reform strengthens American energy. Permitting reform can help delineate clean lines and clear rules, which would resonate with someone who cares about respecting authority. And for someone who cares about sanctity, We can emphasize the resulting cleaner air and purer water. We can offer different entry points for the same policy. We're not changing the policy. We're changing the doorway into the conversation. As you engage with others in your life, see if you can interpret their moral foundations. You don't need to ask them directly. Instead, listen to them deeply to see if you can discern their foundations. And you will definitely use this skill in your lobby meetings. Now, over to you, John.
Thanks, Sally. Now let's get into our lobby training part of our workshop. First, we're going to cover our core guidance. We will share our primary ask for lobby meetings. We will review a standard lobby meeting agenda and discuss the various roles you can assume in lobby meetings. And we will practice a lobby meeting with experienced CCL volunteers who will play the role of member of Congress. And then we'll get back together and debrief all of that. We trust you to show up aligned with our core values and model for advocacy. We also want you to feel genuine hope and gratitude towards your members of Congress. So we ask you to start your lobby meeting with a message of appreciation for your member of Congress. If you find that impossible to do, that's okay. For some of us, coming to that perspective of respect, admiration, and appreciation might be too difficult. If that's the case for you, then we invite you to do other tasks in the meeting. I'm going to share a story of how this impacts our lobby meetings. About a decade ago, a group of CCLers had a meeting scheduled with a member of Congress in DC. We call that a face-to-face meeting when we get to meet with the actual member of Congress rather than their staff. So these volunteers had their face-to-face meeting scheduled during our summer lobby day in DC. They had thought about what they could respect, admire, and appreciate about their member of Congress. Most of the volunteers were from one political party. The member of Congress was from the other political party. The volunteers weren't sure they could find something to thank him for. They finally settled on thanking him for work he had done to restore the river that ran through their city. They arrived at the member's office in the congressional office buildings. The receptionist greeted them. An aide brought them into a crowded office filled with cubicles for all the interns and aides and had them sit at a small round table in a corner. The aide then told them that their representative was not available to meet with them and the aide would be filling in. Our CCLers decided to share their appreciation for the member of Congress anyway. They asked that aide to relay their gratitude. They proceeded to mention his work on the river restoration. Then, from behind the cubicles came a booming voice. I was proud of the work I did to restore the river. And out walked the member of Congress, head held high and arm reaching to shake their hands. He had been hiding behind those short cubicle walls, maybe fearing that a group of environmentalists would be yelling at him about how he'd let them down. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised by our volunteers and their gratitude. In addition to disarming our elected officials, starting with gratitude helps us see the best in our elected officials. Personally, it helps me take the chip off my shoulder. If I'm going to ask my member of Congress to lead, I need to have a belief in my heart that they could. And I'm going to turn it over to Bill.
Okay, thanks, John. And now speaking about the primary ask, why are we talking about permitting reform? When people hear permitting reform, they often think it's some obscure policy, but it's really much simpler. America needs to build more energy infrastructure, transmission lines, renewable energy, storage, geothermal, nuclear, even some natural gas infrastructure to meet our growing energy demand. Right now, projects often spend years waiting for permits and approvals. Permitting reform is about reducing unnecessary delays while still protecting communities and the environment. The reason CCL is involved is simple. If we can't build climate solutions, we can't deploy climate solutions. Now, this isn't just a long-term conversation. Electricity demand is increasing because of manufacturing growth, AI, data centers, electrification, and population growth. Meanwhile, there are enormous backlogs before projects can connect to the grid. Congress is actively negotiating permitting legislation right now, and CCL believes waiting for a better political moment risks losing the opportunity entirely. This reflects the political landscape sections in both playbooks. Members don't all support permitting reform for the same reason. Republicans often see permitting reform through affordability, reducing regulation, economic growth, and energy security. Democrats often focus on speeding clean energy deployment while maintaining environmental protections and community engagement. Our job really isn't to convince every office with the same argument. Our job is bridge, meet people where they are. This is exactly how both messaging playbooks are organized around different priorities. You don't need to become an expert in permitting law. You simply need to understand why this matters and be prepared to connect it to the priorities of the office you're meeting. Your job is not to win a debate. It's to build a relationship and show why permitting reform helps advance goals they already care about. This summarizes the messaging guardrails and overarching recommendations from both documents. Lead with the values that can connect. Ask yourself the following questions. What matters most to this office? What values are they protecting? How can permitting reform help accomplish their goals? The best permitting conversation isn't the one where you say the most. It's the one where the member feels heard and sees how this policy advances goals they already care about. So now that we know what we're lobbying for, let's take a look at what lobby meeting looks like. Ellie, will you show us this video?
John, we really appreciate your meeting with us today. And thank you. Please thank the Congresswoman for her support of the Growing Climate Solutions Act. Your voice really matters to us. We really want to hear what you have to say on climate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll be sure to share your kind words with the Congresswoman.
Thank you for taking that back to the Congresswoman. And we were hoping today to talk about the carbon border adjustment mechanisms and also to figure out how we can help you with your goals. And to do that, we wanted to know, how do you think we could best approach our common goals of protecting the environment and our children?
Well, I think the Congresswoman would say that the best way to protect our kids is to keep the economy strong and make sure their parents have good jobs.
Yes, it sounds to me like you're concerned about jobs and the economy. At the same time, the Congresswoman has said that she's concerned about competition with China.
Oh yeah, she's very concerned about that.
I think maybe something we could both support could create a trade benefit for U.S. companies. Bills that have a carbon border adjustment mechanism give a trade advantage to U.S. companies because U.S. manufacturers are innovative and already use cleaner manufacturing processes. It would enable us to have more manufacturing jobs over here in the United States. Would the Congresswoman be interested in supporting such a bill?
Well, I'm sure she'd be willing to take a look at that. If you could send over some more information, I'd be happy to pass it on.
We can definitely make that happen. We'll get you that information soon. Thank you, John.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you all.
Thank you so much.
Great. Well, CCLers Beth, Lisa, and Arlene demonstrated effective communication techniques in meeting with John, the congressional staffer. Beth affirmed the staff member, thanking him for passing information to the member of Congress. The volunteers had done their research and knew what concerned the member of Congress and mentioned those during the meeting. They asked open-ended questions, allowing John to give revealing and dynamic responses. Then the team reflected back what they heard him say. They found common ground and connected the members' concerns to their pitch. They concluded with a promise to follow up, allowing for the relationship to continue. Please research your member of Congress. Find out what they're proud of so that you can celebrate that. Learn what annoys them so that you can avoid that topic. Investigate local impacts of climate change. Learn how the policy you're advocating will impact your district or state. Review previous CCL meeting minutes, which you can get from your liaison. Before heading into your meeting, determine who will send a thank you note after the meeting. Someone can bring a blank thank you note that your team can sign after the meeting ends. CCL has identified a variety of roles in a lobby meeting. Depending on the size of the lobby team, an individual may fill multiple roles. Let's look at the roles that volunteers play in a lobby meeting. So here are the roles volunteers play in the lobby meeting. First, we have the leader for the meeting, the appreciator, time monitor, note taker, asker, deliverer, follow-up, and tech support. And we have put those in the chat for you. The leader sort of serves as a conductor. They manage the flow of the meeting. They don't dominate or talk a lot. They empower others to share and participate. They keep the conversation on track and wrap up when appropriate. The appreciator shares what they respect, admire, and appreciate about the member of Congress, helping to set a positive example and tone for the meeting. Someone keeps the meeting on time and monitors the percent of time CCL and the member of Congress or staff talk, with a target of being about 50-50. And they tally the number of open-ended questions our team asks. We look for an experienced volunteer to take notes or meeting minutes. They follow the thread of the conversation, specifically capturing what's said by the member of Congress or staffer. The note taker also enters the minutes in the action tracker, preferably within 24 hours of the meeting. If you don't ask for something, you won't get anything. So one volunteer assumes the role of asker. They present CCL's purpose and ask. If possible, this is someone who has a strong grasp of our policy and its wider implications. The asker leaves behind a handout describing the ask. Remember all of those letters to the editor that you and your chapter got printed in the past 6 months, or the constituent comment forms people completed at your tabling events? Someone on the team delivers those letters to the editor along with any endorsements from local respected leaders and constituent comment forms. You plan to follow up in advance. So this team member sends follow-up meeting materials and thank you cards. If the person doing the follow-up is not the liaison, they should coordinate with the follow-up items with the liaison soon after the meeting, as the liaison is the point person for the member of Congress's office. If you are meeting on Zoom, be sure to have someone who feels comfortable providing tech support. And we invite everyone to speak while keeping in mind that constituents and trusted messengers will be the most meaningful to the member of Congress. We like to say we like to say that a good meeting is like a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. In the beginning, we offer thanks, ask how much time they have for us, introduce ourselves, share our appreciation, and state our purpose and mention our ask. In the middle, we exchange thoughts, listen, ask open-ended questions, and aim to move them forward in action. In the end, we return to our ask unless they have already indicated they won't help, in which case we propose a supporting ask, which is less of a stretch for them. We clarify any questions and indicate our follow-up. So let's run through that one more time. First, we thank the member or staffer for meeting with us. Then the timekeeper confirms the amount of time they have for the meeting. We introduce ourselves briefly. If meeting with a staffer for the first time, we ask them to tell us a little bit about themselves. Next, we express appreciation for something they've done recently. It doesn't have to be about the climate or the environment. Someone then explains our purpose. Citizens Climate Lobby empowers everyday people to bridge divides and political will for effective climate solutions in Congress. We are committed to advancing federal policies that reduce emissions, remove climate pollution, and protect people. And briefly state our request, letting them know that you will circle back to our ask at the end of the meeting, but first we want to hear their concerns and thoughts. Then, moving into the middle of the meeting, we ask open-ended questions that invite them to share their thoughts related to the primary ask. If you sense or anticipate resistance, you might ask questions like these. What might be preventing the representative from supporting our legislation? Or who in our district would we need to convince about the merits of our proposal to gain your support? What's your preferred plan to lower emissions? Having done your research, you will probably be able to anticipate what you think their responses might be. So we do a lot of listening. We allow them to talk. We want to learn what we can about them or their boss. Towards the end of the meeting, we make the ask again. We listen for their response. Or if they've indicated that they're not ready to introduce or support our policy, then we offer a secondary request as a building block. Allow them time to respond to the ask. You can then offer additional materials. Ask if they would like them hard copy or electronic. Ask how and when to follow up. You can always ask who they work with on the other side of the aisle, and thank them for their time as you end the meeting promptly on time. Your timekeeper should be giving the meeting leader a heads up on time. Okay, so we've got some CCL leaders who've just now joined the call. These CCL veterans lead the breakout rooms for the next 35 minutes where you will practice a lobby meeting in a team. They put a member of Congress in front of their name to identify them. Let's review our next 35 minutes together. I'm going to run through the agenda for the breakout rooms, and I put some links in the chat for you as well. First, you will spend 5 minutes answering any questions you have. Then you have 10 minutes to organize for a mock lobby meeting, delegate roles, review your meeting agenda. Take the next 10 minutes for your mock lobby meeting. Your CCL veteran will play the role of a member of Congress. You will work as a team to lobby them. Together, you will debrief that experience. To review, you will have 35 minutes together. Give yourself 5 minutes tops for the Q&A, then 10 minutes to prepare, and 10 minutes to have your practice lobby meetings. That leaves us with 10 minutes for debriefing. Do we have your rooms ready, John? All right, we're good to go. So 5 minutes Q&A, and then we'll start preparing for your lobby meeting in 10 minutes. We'll put messages in the chat for you.
Hello, welcome back, everyone. Good to see you. We're all getting in here. Welcome back from your lobby meetings. Oh my goodness. We're gonna want to hear how that went. Let's see. I think we're all back. Welcome, welcome. Yay. How did that go? What was that like for you? Let's take a share or two on that. Thumbs up, clapping hands emoji. Anybody want to share anything in particular? Thank you, Manny, for jumping in there.
They can give you the evaluation later. They'll send you an email, see how I did.
Thank you, Chris. Who else? Alex, it was good to have you here. Alex and Manette, Bill and John, thank you for being our members in Congress. And I know who was the other person? One more person was at MOC. Jerry, thank you, Jerry. All right, what's the report?
Comments. There's some comments in the chat.
Comments in the chat. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's see. My team had all the skills and are going to be awesome, says Chris. Very useful practice. It was great working with a team and learning together. That is true. We always lobby with a team. That's what makes it fun. Good learning, good preparation, encouraging. Nice. Lots of positive feedback. Good practice. I know how to prepare more, says Steve. Beneficial. Likely meeting with a staffer. We likely will be. Sarah says it seems less intimidating now that we have done it once. That is right. All right. I love it. Okay, so I've just got a few more things to share with you as we wrap up. First, if you have not registered, please register. Registration is open. I'll put the link in the chat. If you know somebody else who might want to join you, invite them. It's easy to remember. The short link is cclusa.org/summer. And registration is open through July 9th. And as you know, conference will be July 26th through the 28th at the Omni Shoreham Hotel in DC. And we've got some more trainings for you. So that first on the list you see is what we just did tonight. So you do not need to take that. You can share that with anyone. And then you'll see some other trainings and toolkits. And if you're a college student, we've got a meet and greet for college students coming up. When is that? July 7th. And I want to officially congratulate you for becoming trained as a CCL citizen lobbyist. Happy 250th birthday, America. We have got some new citizen lobbyists, woo, 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 to bring to the birthday party. If you have any questions that come up, you can always ask your group leader, your state coordinator. You can email your state coordinator. It's just the name of your state at citizensclimatелobby.org. You can email Bill, John, or myself or Brett. We're your network directors. And if you just can't figure out who to email, you can email membership. I manage that inbox. I will get right back to you on that. And so officially, thank you. There's the membership email. I put that in the chat. And I'm going to end tonight with a basketball quote. And I am not even a sporty kind of person, but I was following the New York Knicks with their first NBA championship win in 53 years. And this here's a picture of Jalen Brunson, who is the captain and star point guard, or whatever that is. Like I tell you, I'm not a sports person, for the New York Knicks. I think that must be an important position. He shared some beautiful advice about how he and his team went about winning. I'm going to tell you, said Brunson, you are allowed to think about the worst possible scenario, but you got to go out there and do something about it. And while ours is not an NBA championship, it is a crazy combination of climate change and politics. And you here tonight have been willing to examine the worst possible scenario and then get out there and do something about it. And I'm glad you are on our team. Let's aim for the championship, everyone. So thank you. Woo!
Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, all.
Thank you.
Buddy.
Ellie, I wanted to say something.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Citizens Climate Lobby's training program. You can tune into more episodes anywhere podcasts are available. Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CitizensClimate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration.
Like what you hear? Recommend us to your friends and make sure to give us a 5-star rating. It helps us show up on other listeners' feeds. Feel free to pass on any suggestions for future episodes in the comments as well.
And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.